Welcome back to the Bro Country Podcast. My name is Joey, and I am joined by...
Hey man, it's Chris here. What's going on over there tonight, Joey?
Man, not a whole lot. Just a super busy day up until now. So, going
That's
though.
right,
What
man.
about you?
Same here. Just ready to jump into this one. This is this one's going to be a little bit different than some of the other ones we've done.
This is, yeah. Tyler Childers is who we're going to be talking about tonight, guys, and actually talking a little bit about his album, Country Squire. But before we get into that, we'll hop into our news segment as always.
Yep. What's going on in Nashville this week, Joey?
Well, Ray Fulcher's dropping some new music on June 25th, so that's pretty cool.
I saw that. What is it? Like a small little 3-song EP?
Yeah, I was going to say it's only like 3 tracks, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be pretty good with all the stuff Ray's been doing lately. I mean,
Yeah,
signed
for sure,
a
man.
major label deal the last couple months, and awesome songwriter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is really the first official new music he's put out since he signed his record label deal. So I would say, if I had to guess, one of these 3 songs will be the lead radio single. I'm guessing they're going to let him come out and see which one kind of catches the fans, fire the most, and see which one they want to push to radio. But like you said, he's a great writer, and I'm sure they're going to be good. They come out tomorrow, right?
Yeah. No, the 25th.
Oh, that's right.
25th, yeah.
Yeah, he just
I was like,
announced
yeah, it comes out tomorrow. I just said the 25th,
Gosh, I
but
wish.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
wish it was tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, right? New Music Fridays are always nice, but...
That's right, man.
But yeah, so that's coming out June 25th. You guys stay tuned for that. And then Luke Combs is 11 for 11 at Singles to Country Radio, hitting number 1.
That's wild, man. Absolutely wild.
That's monumental, man.
It really is, man. I mean, before this streak, the most to ever start their career was their first 4 singles, and now Luke's up first 11 singles, and obviously there's no end in sight on how long this streak is going to last. So it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. I don't see it ending anytime soon, that's for sure.
No, and I think I guess the only thing now is, I mean, are they going to release another single from the second album, or are we going to get the lead single from the third album? So I would say that we'll know that answer in the next month or so.
Yeah, especially since he's been teasing new stuff on social media, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think the fans are ready for album 3 for sure.
Yeah, I know we are.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, and then we had some more disappointing news. B.J. Thomas and Dwayne Lee Blackwell passed away.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, Dwayne Lee Blackwell is. I mean, he wrote a bunch. I was reading about him earlier because Garth did a big interview on Billboard.com about him, because he wrote. He's the writer of Friends in Low Places. In case, he wrote a ton of stuff. But when you write Friends in Low Places, that's what you're known for. So, I mean, Garth went on talking about how the article that I read talking about how. He actually sang the demo for George Strait, and that sometimes he would go in and just sing 9-10 different songs a day. And at that time, most of them were songs that were being pitched to George. And for whatever reason, George turned Friends in Low Places down, and it became what it became. Man, it's pretty crazy. It is
Arguably the biggest song in country music.
Yeah,
Arguably. I mean, there's definitely
Yeah.
some big songs in country music, but that one is so well renowned and recognized by everybody.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Don't come at me, all you Garth haters, but anyway, so yeah, that's unfortunate news, so may they rest in peace for sure.
Absolutely, man.
And then we had some Vegas residencies announced. Keith Urban, Luke Bryan, and Carrie Underwood, I believe, were the 3.
Yeah, I think Vegas has obviously been kind of quasi shut down through this quarantine too. So, I mean, there are Vegas announcements coming out of the woodwork like every day, and I think there's 2 brand new theaters that are getting ready to open in Vegas. I think the one that Carrie and Luke are going to be performing at, supposedly every seat in the whole arena is less than 250 feet from the stage.
Oh my gosh.
When you look at the pictures, it's almost just like balconies that go straight up. And so there's it's wild to look at, but I mean, that's kind of what Vegas is known for, to kind of push the envelope and make some interesting looking stuff. So I think Carrie's actually the first performer that's going to perform at this new kind of smaller arena there. And I think she's got 12 dates lined up. Luke Bryan's got like 6. I think they're getting ready to put another 6 on sale.
Nice.
So I've only been to Vegas once. Have you ever been?
I have not been yet, man.
It's a it's a pretty wild time. I'd love to go out there and see some shows. It's fun for sure.
I know my little brother's getting married next year, so we do have a bachelor party to plan, so we'll see.
There you go, man.
But yeah, honestly, that's really all I had, man. You want to talk about the charts and what they're looking like this week?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like we mentioned, Luke's #1 at radio. I think Forever After All only took him 12 weeks to reach #1.
Gosh.
And a couple of the guys that I follow pretty closely are thinking that it's going to be the #1 song at radio for at least the next 4 or 5 weeks. And Better Together has already been #1 at radio for 5 weeks this year. So by the end of June, Luke's probably going to be #1 at radio 9 or 10 weeks out of the year. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And then on the album side, Morgan's still #1 on the album charts, man. I think it's 14 or 15 weeks at #1 for Morgan already. With no end in sight.
That's impressive, man, for both those guys.
Yeah.
Golly. We just won't cover the charts anymore because it's the same 2 names every week.
It is the same 2 names, man.
With a couple other people sprinkled in every once in a while.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's wild.
It's crazy.
But yeah, that's awesome. But that's all we really had about news this week, guys. Not a whole lot going on, but before we get into our thoughts about Country Squire and Tyler Childers as a whole, we just kind of want to give some background on Tyler for those of you that may not be familiar with him and the type of music that he plays. So I pulled a lot of this information off his Wikipedia page and theboot.com. Anyway, some background on Tyler. He was born in Lawrence County, Kentucky, and was raised by his parents, and his dad worked in the coal industry, and his mom was a nurse. And he actually began singing at a young age where he would sing in the church choir. He started to play guitar and write songs when he was around 13 years old. And he went to Paintsville High School, which is near Paintsville, Kentucky, and he graduated in 2009. And actually, there's some other pretty big country artists that are from the Paintsville, Kentucky area. You've got,
sure is.
Yeah, Chris Stapleton and Loretta Lynn.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man.
So to have those 3 names come out of that area, they're putting out some good country music out there. Very talented folks.
It's pretty wild. Paintsville, that's like probably an hour and 15 minutes away from my house. And,
is it?
Yeah, and I have to go over that way all the time for work. And there is as you're going, it's not an interstate, but it's like a turnpike, it's a 4-lane road, but it's not an interstate, and it's the country music highway. And there's kind of this makeshift museum that's kind of set up right in that area because of how many people have came out of that region. I mean, the Judds came out of that region. Like you just mentioned, Loretta Lynn, Chris Stapleton, Tyler Childers. I mean, Ricky Skaggs and Keith Whitley grew up doing a lot of stuff in that area. I mean, it's pretty wild, man.
Golly, the sweetest voice in country music, Keith Whitley.
That's right.
We've talked about Keith Whitley on the show before. You guys go check that episode out. It was fun. But yeah, so after graduating high school, he went and studied for a semester at Western Kentucky University, and then enrolled at Bluegrass Community and Technical College for just a few semesters. And then he finally dropped out of college and did some odd jobs while trying to pursue a music career. And he actually, when he first started performing, he started in Lexington, Kentucky, and near your neck of the woods, Chris, in Huntington, West Virginia.
That's right.
Which is pretty cool.
It is.
And then in 2011, he was 19 years old and released his first album, Bottles and Bibles. He's also released 2 EPs that were recorded in 2013 at Red Barn Radio, which was a radio show in Lexington. And then later on, the 2 EPs were released under one name. It's called Live on Red Barn Radio 1 and 2. Purgatory, it released on August 4th in 2017, and that was just a huge success for Tyler. I mean, I don't know if you had heard of him really before that or not, but I'll be honest, I hadn't really heard of Tyler until probably around 2017 when Purgatory dropped.
Well, I mean, I think I had not seen Tyler perform, obviously, but the name had been around for a couple years because of Huntington. Huntington it's a college town, and there's a lot of like club and bar music that goes on in Huntington. So he had a little bit of steam down that way, but I would not have been able to recognize him, and I probably had not heard the music, but I vaguely knew his name, but not until Purgatory came out and kind of just broke through. Did I really jump into his music? Yeah,
it was kind of at that point when, you could say mainstream fans really kind of discovered him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's a whole other point, that there's just so much great music out there that you don't know because it's not on country radio,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this, I don't know if Sturgill Simpson discovered Tyler, but I mean he was the one that helped produce Purgatory, and Sturgill he'd had a couple breakthrough albums before Tyler, and so I think that he definitely helped Tyler, kind of break through to that next level for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you said, he helped produce it. David Ferguson, Sturgill actually played guitar and sang backup vocals on the album as well, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
It debuted at number 1 on Billboard's Heat Seekers album chart, number 17 on the Country Albums chart, and number 4 on the Americana Folk Album chart, which is pretty sweet. And then in September of 2018, Tyler won Emerging Artist of the Year at the 2018 Americana Music Honors and Awards, which this was kind of interesting and true because when he did his acceptance speech, he kind of criticized just the subgenres of country music, especially Americana. And he said, quote, "As a man who identifies as a country singer, I feel Americana ain't no part of nothing and is a distraction from the issues that we're facing on a bigger level as country music singers. It kind of feels like purgatory," end quote.
Yeah, I mean, I think when he did that, really got a ton of attention at that time because, I mean, obviously, the subgenres of country music, specifically Americana, I mean, especially at that time because you had Sturgill, you had Jason Isbell, and then Tyler was coming along. So you've got these guys that are being celebrated on one hand, but they're not being celebrated by the mainstream. They're not getting played on radio, and the mainstream media is trying to identify them as something other than country music, when in most cases they're the most country music artists that we have. And I think that really struck a chord with Tyler. I don't think he was trying to piss off the crowd at the award show where the people that love quote unquote Americana music. I think he was just making the point of this is country music and we should not try to separate ourselves from country music.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right, man. I don't think he meant it as a knock to anybody that was in attendance or the award show as a whole. I think he was just kind of like, we are country music. We shouldn't be subgenre, like you said. I think you hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But it got him a ton of attention.
Yeah, I remember when that happened.
Yeah,
it was all over.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah, after the success of Purgatory, he dropped a second album under his Hickman Holler label called Country Squire, which we're going to be talking about tonight. And that one came out in August of 19 after being announced in May. And that album was also produced by Sturgill Simpson and David Ferguson. And All Yourn, that's the second single from the album. That one was nominated for Best Country Solo Performance at the 62nd Annual Grammy Awards.
Absolutely.
Which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd say All Yourn is that Feathered Indians. Those are probably his two most popular songs. I would think maybe.
Yeah, Lady May's up there.
Lady May, yeah, for sure.
But those are definitely two of his most popular. I agree with you. But then in September of 18, he did a surprise drop. It's an album called Long Violent History, and it's mostly got a bunch of like instrumentals and traditional fiddle tracks, and the closing title track is Long Violent History, and it's a song that just discusses a lot of political topics. He went on social media and released a video to accompany the song, and just kind of talked about the meaning of it and was calling for empathy above all else with all the issues going on in the world. And he also stated in the video that 100% of the profits from all the album sales will be used to underserved communities in the Appalachian region through his own Hickman Holler Appalachian Relief Fund, which is pretty sweet.
Very, very cool.
I mean, his music's definitely got a Kentucky influence, more so of like a traditional country and bluegrass sound,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's more of like a Ralph Stanley and Scruggs and Flats, and I mean, it's his music could have came out any time. I mean, it's definitely timeless. The feel of it, which is, I mean, I think that's kind of the point of what he's doing is he's not conforming to the way that music is being made these days. Yeah,
most definitely. And he writes a lot. He writes a lot about coal mining because his father, like I mentioned a little bit ago, is a coal miner, and just talks about the life that comes with being a coal miner. And he just really writes like storytelling music. Yeah. So, and then something else that I thought was pretty interesting in January of 2020, he was talking on an interview with World Cafe. about Americana being a subgenre, and he said, quote, "Everybody always talks about the state of country music and puts down commercial country and says something's got to be done and we need to be elevating artists that are doing more traditional country. But then we're not calling these artists country artists. They're getting put into this Americana thing. It is what it is, and I don't really know how to define what Americana is. We're our own thing. It's a new time, and I don't know what it's called, but I've been calling it country, you know? I think a lot of times it's kind of just become a costume," end quote.
Amen to that.
So I think, yeah, dude, he hits the nail on the head with that. I think it's 100% true that it's a costume for more traditional sounding artists, and it's kind of messed up, really.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's built his career on being honest about what he thinks and not conforming and not, the last two records, he's actually signed to a major label now. And,
Yeah.
I mean, he has his own imprint with Hickman there, but I mean, so he's signed to a major label, but I mean, obviously they're kind of just letting him do his own thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's not going to he's definitely not going to stop giving his true thoughts about what is going on in the music industry, because that's what's got him. He's got almost 5 million monthly Spotify listeners without a single radio hit. I mean, he has connected somehow, some way with zero help from the mainstream. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Golly, it's just that traditional storytelling music, man. It resonates with people, and people just enjoy it. It's refreshing to hear that.
Agree, man.
Yeah, that was really all kind of the background and kind of fun facts I had about Tyler. And do you remember when you first really discovered him? I know we kind of already talked about it a little bit, but
I had listened to the first two Sturgill records, and I remember when Sturgill was he was basking in singing music on the street outside of either the CMA or the ACM awards, and like right after that is kind of whenever Tyler kind of broke. So it was kind of I can't say that I'm a huge Sturgill Simpson fan, but I can say that I'm super interested in any of these artists that can somehow grab a hold of at least a part of that country music audience with zero help from Nashville. I mean, you've obviously got Sturgill and Jason Isbell and now Tyler Childers, but Cody Jinks. I mean, there's a bunch of Texas people, obviously, but they've got a whole structure in Texas that kind of helps them. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody like Tyler and Sturgill, they don't have, they don't have any of that structure. Right. So, kind of the queen of that right now would be Casey Musgraves. I mean, Casey had that one or two radio hits at the very beginning of her career, and then radio has totally stopped playing her. And there she is winning the award for the Grammy Album of the Year, and she's nominated for CMAs and ACMs, but they refuse to play her music on radio. So
it's crazy.
There are some of these people that have been able to do this, but I really feel like with Tyler, I mean, I don't know. Without Sturgill's help there at the very beginning, I'm not sure that I would have heard of him or jumped into his music.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, as soon as you hear Feathered Indians and like you said, Lady May and that stuff, I mean, it's got such a unique and genuine sound to it that it definitely stands out immediately.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about you, man? Do you remember when you first heard him?
Yeah, I don't remember like the exact iconic moment or anything like that. I just remember Purgatory coming out, and I listened to a little bit of it and was like, oh, this is pretty good. And I'll be honest, I didn't really deep dive into him until, it was probably 2018-19 when obviously the Americana speech happened. That was when I was like, wow, I really need to like look into this guy. And then I know Grady, he's done a couple videos where he's talked about Tyler quite a bit, and that piqued my interest too. Because anytime Grady talks about somebody, I always want to check them out.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And I've always kind of included it, but dude, I would say over the last year and a half or so, I've just really gotten into him quite a bit more. Especially here lately, man. I feel like I've been listening to Tyler a lot, and I don't know if it's just because it's just so different than what you hear every other day, you know,
Yeah.
compared to the mainstream artists. And, you know, there's good in the mainstream. We've talked about that. I mean, there's a ton of good artists in the mainstream right now. It's really a good time to be a country music fan compared to the 2010s, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, I would say I first heard him around that time, 2017, but really gave him a true chance probably 18, 19, I would say.
You have not seen him live yet, right?
No, man, I would love to, though.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, he was gonna do a show here in Cincinnati. He announced a arena tour, and if memory serves
with
me,
Sturgill.
yeah, with Sturgill.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if memory serves me well, it was with him and Sturgill, and they sold out. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they sold the tour out or sold out a ton of the shows, and it was like an iconic thing that those two guys that are essentially independent artists, you know.
Yeah.
I know Tyler's signed to his major deal or whatever, but you know, for them to be able to do that was pretty iconic. And then COVID happened, so they had to cancel the tour. So, but I don't think they've.
I was just looking; they have not rescheduled it.
No, I was gonna say I don't think they've had any word about rescheduling or anything like that. So, but they were gonna come to Cincinnati. So if it gets rescheduled or they announce another tour, I'm grabbing some tickets, man.
That's right, man.
We gotta go. My wife's a pretty big Tyler fan now too, so she would probably enjoy to go to that one. But yeah, so that was kind of my first few memories of Tyler, and now I'm a huge fan.
I'm trying to think, of other people in the past of country music that, until recently with streaming and Spotify and not really needing radio. Like it would have been really hard to get even to the level that Tyler and Sturgill and some of these guys have gotten to. I mean,
yeah.
Now where people can just find their music on their own, at least there's access to it. But I mean, before the last 7 or 8 years, it would have been almost impossible.
Super hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see these guys and gals build brands for themselves just kind of on their own and not have to depend on a major label to get a reputation or build a brand.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Pretty sweet, but yeah, man. So what are your thoughts on Country Squire, man? What do you think about it?
Well, it's when I went back this past 3 or 4 days, listened to it over and over and over. There's only 9 songs on the album, but it does not necessarily feel like a short album. Yeah. Usually 9 songs, I'd be like, goodness, this is like, there's just not enough here. But it doesn't really leave me feeling that way. Maybe because these songs they're super intricate, they're super storytelling songs, and it definitely does not feel like it's missing anything. And there's obviously a couple standout tracks that we'll talk about here in a minute. My list is we're going to rank obviously here in a second, and. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 of these songs that are absolutely hilarious, and if you didn't know what he was singing about,
I already know where you're going with this.
I mean, it's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I would say that this and Purgatory are kind of just a continuation of each other, and I mean, this is the music he's going to be known for forever.
Yeah. And there's a lot, that aren't on those 2 albums, too. You've got some really good songs like Follow You to Virgie. Have you heard that one yet?
I have, yeah.
God, dude, that is heartbreaking. Super sad song. But anyways, yeah, he's got some great songs. And his music just has a lot of substance to it. From the instrumentation, the lyrics, the storytelling, the humor, like you mentioned. We'll get into that. But I enjoyed it, man. I would probably say that I like it the most out of all the other projects that he's put out, though. I think I like it more than Purgatory, also.
Have you listened much to his debut, the Bottles and Bibles?
Yeah.
I think I've only listened through it maybe one time. So I mean, musically, was he from the beginning there? Did he sound similar to what he does now, or was it kind of a different style?
I think it's pretty similar, in my opinion. There's a really good one on there called If Whiskey Could Talk, and that one is, sad, good storytelling song with some good music behind it, good instruments behind it, man. You'll have to give it a re-listen.
I'll go back. Yeah, I'll go back.
I think there's more tracks on that one. There's like 12 or 13 on that one. So get a few more songs anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I love how you said though that Country Squire is only 9 tracks, but it doesn't feel like it. Because I feel the same way when I listen to it. I'm like, this is a solid project. Like this was very well put together. And then, and no disrespect to Justin Moore because we love Justin Moore, but he put out that album recently that was what 8 or 9 tracks too, right?
Yeah.
And when I listened to that, I was like, man, this was quick. I'm like, this is pretty quick. And I love Justin. Justin's awesome. He's just as about the country as it gets too. But I'm like, man, there's just something about Tyler's songwriting and music that is fulfilling.
Yeah, I agree, man.
But yeah, my opinion, 10 out of 10 for me, Country Squire. What about you?
So you would put this one above Purgatory?
Yeah, I would. Not by much. I'd probably give Purgatory like a 9.8.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think you're probably a bigger fan of Tyler than I am. I mean, I appreciate him, but he's definitely not somebody that I have delved completely into his whole catalog yet. But I would definitely give this, an 8.5 for sure.
Yeah, that's solid. Definitely. Purgatory's got, I feel like Country Squire is just a little bit more upbeat than Purgatory.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. I don't know. But yeah, man. So we'll go ahead and jump into our ranking like we always do. For those of you that are new here, when we talk about a project or an album, we always like to rank our top songs off of the project. We start with our lowest to our highest. With this one being 9 tracks, we decided to go ahead and rank our top 5. I will kick it off, as always, man. Number 5, I had Bus Route.
Bus Route, that's a good one. Tell us about that one.
It's kind of a funny story, man. Young love, this young kid's chasing this girl throughout school, and they kind of grow up together over the bus or on the bus, and she lived down the road around the corner or whatever, and finally winds up getting the girl, and it's kind of a humorous young love story. So I just enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a real good one.
What'd you have at 5?
At 5, I've got. It's kind of just the one that I just wanted to get out of the way because this could either be number 9 or number 1, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. But I put it at number 5. Ever Loving Hand.
Tell us all about it, man.
I mean, this is just a song that anybody in the mainstream, they would not be allowed to record this song. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine name anybody, even Eric Church. I mean, I feel like even Eric would have a hard time releasing this song and not getting some backlash. I mean,
maybe Dylan Carmichael.
Yeah.
Son-in-laws.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Close, anyway.
It's is he just being stupid? Like, I mean, is this a joke, or is this just his chance to try to sing about something that he knows is probably a little bit inappropriate? Yeah. But I mean, it's a great song. So
dude, when I first heard it, like the first bit, I didn't really get it. Was it like that for you? Did it take you a couple of listens before you're like, oh my gosh, it finally clicked?
Well, I feel like that by the time I heard it a couple times, I feel like I had already read the reviews on the albums, whenever it first came out. Yeah. And I think all the reviews were kind of like, don't listen to this song around children and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, with his voice, though, and the instruments, it doesn't sound like an inappropriate song, though,
Yeah, I agree.
But then you hear the words and you're like, oh man, okay. My kid's in the car. Let me turn this. Let me skip this one. But yeah, that's a good one. Number 4, I had Creaker.
Creaker, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because I pulled this from theboot.com. They actually reviewed the album a little ways back, and they just talked about how he wrote this after getting dropped off from an Uber in Chicago, and the Uber dropped him off at the wrong spot. And on the Boots website it said, which that doesn't sound that bad until you figured out that he was hungover, exhausted, his phone was dying, and he only had $5 on him. So I just think that that is a super crappy situation to be in, but it inspired that song, and I really like that one. So
that's cool, man.
What about you, man? What'd you have it for?
Number 4, I have what you had at number 5, Bus Route.
Nice. Similar reasoning, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like that they did a good job on this one because they put kind of the couple more upbeat songs there at the very beginning that just kind of hook you in, and it's just fun, just super fun.
Super fun one for sure, man.
Yeah. What you
Number
got at
three, man, I've got House Fire.
House Fire. I had that in my top 5, but I took it out at the very end.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't really know. I just love the way his vocals are on that one, man, and the instruments are amazing.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a real good one.
Yeah. What about you?
Number 3, I have Matthew. The closing track on the album. It's a little bit of a tearjerker, just kind of a family story. We're gonna get to my top 2 there, but that one might be my actual favorite written song on the record. I really like that one.
Yeah, very well written.
Yeah.
I almost put that one in my top 5, man, but didn't make mine. But
all nine of these are great songs. So
yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's not one of those albums where like, oh, this was my top 5 solidified, and I had to rearrange and pick and pull myself. But
yeah, for sure, man.
Speaking of top 2, number 2, I had All Yorn, man. I know it's one of his most popular, and it's probably like super cliche of me to pick that, but awesome song.
It is. If there was ever gonna be a song from either of these records that they could have at least attempted to send to radio, it's probably All Yorn.
Oh yeah,
because it's just, it's a great love song
for sure. What you got 2, man?
Number 2, I've got the title track, Country Squire.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that song, man.
Yeah, it's a great one. He opens the record with it, and it just kind of, I feel like the Country Squire and All Yorn, if you were just going to say to somebody that didn't necessarily know Tyler or love that kind of music, you could make them listen to those songs and get them hooked before sending them deeper down some of the more serious and traditional stuff that Tyler does. Because that's just, you'd be hard pressed not to like those songs.
Absolutely, man. And that is why at number 1 I've got the title track, Country Squire.
There you go, man. Can't beat it.
I did some digging on this one too, and I found I believe this is from theboot.com as well, that the song was actually written about his life in around 2015. He got married and lived in his parents' house to save up some money. His wife, Sonora Mae, and him bought a used camper, which the previous owners actually named it Country Squire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and basically the rest of the story of the song, it just talks about how he, connects to his life of him working multiple jobs, gigging in bars, and turning them songs into 2x4s, dreaming about the day that I'm sitting by the fire, huddled with my honey in the Country Squire. Basically just how he had to grind and gig and do side jobs and everything to be able to afford a home for him and his wife versus like a camper,
Oh, wow.
So super interesting that he was able just to pull that directly from his life and write that. And it's a fun one too, because it's just kind of about growing with the person you love and hitting your life goals and enjoying them and looking back. I feel like it's more of like I'm gonna hit our goals and look back on them type of thing. So definitely number 1 for me, man. What'd you have?
Well, number 1, I've got All Yorn. So our top 2 were the same. They were just flipped.
I was gonna say I don't think we had a single one that was exactly the same.
Nope, that's rare.
It might be a first.
Yeah, it might be a first.
You guys let us know. I can't remember, but that might be a first.
That's funny.
Sweet, but yeah,
that's what we got.
So we got our top 5. So for those of you that maybe haven't heard of Tyler Childers just yet, or are still kind of getting to know his music, make sure you go check out Country Squire. It is absolutely a phenomenal album. You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely, man.
But that's what I've got for this week, man. I don't really have much else. You got anything?
Nope, I think that's good.
Oh, side note, we did a merch giveaway this week. We gave out some magnets, stickers, keychains, some things like that. Those were all mailed out today. So for those of you that requested that, be on the lookout. They should be coming next week. And for those of you that may want some in the future, let us know. We've got some more coming our way and be happy to ship some out to you guys. Just shoot us a DM on Instagram or message us on Facebook and we'll get that out to you. But other than that, man, I think that's going to do it.
That's right.
As always, guys, until next time, keep it country and take care of each other.